Hi everyone and welcome to your horoscope for the week of July the 18th, 2022. We have a really important week ahead of us because there are going to be very strong shifts and sudden changes because three planets are changing signs, but at the same time, it's almost like the sky and everything that it influences, so basically everything, is preparing both personally but also as a collective for very, very sudden, very quick, very spontaneous eruptions, changes, transformation, the unexpected, to be totally honest with you, because at the very end of July, on the 31st of July and 2nd of August, we have the meeting of Uranus, the North Node, and Mars, and that is going to be triggering some very, very powerful and radical changes, both in our lives individually but also collectively. We can expect a lot of things to be stirred up at that time. But if that wasn't enough, whatever happens this summer is going to echo another time, a reverberation in November. If that wasn't enough, at the very, very end of this week, the signature celestial conversation of 2021, the Uranus and Saturn square, that which disrupted our lives collectively and individually and gave us such a hardship, such a fright, such an anxiety like we've rarely experienced in this incarnation. Yes, that celestial conversation is going to be taking place once more, but fortunately, this is a totally different setup. Our lives and the structure of our lives, our mindset, and so much in our lives personally is radically different. We are different, even for some people. Their identities are different. Why? Rebranding and even changing their names. The North Node in Gemini produced that in masses in 2021 and at the end of 2020. So a lot of people are literally, as in not symbolically even, different. So that's why every celestial conversation is already different. Even though we had this not just so long ago, but yet it's still different. But what is not different is that it's disruptive, it is shocking, and it's crumbling. Saturn, Uranus. Now, Saturn basically still wants change, still wants upgrade, still needs to receive the new ultimately, but Saturn needs to protect. Saturn needs to do it slowly. Saturn needs to do it as safely as possible. Uranus, on the other hand, is the wrecking ball. You don't have time anymore. So these two power players will need to recalibrate their expression and to reach a harmony once again. Because the harmony that they attempted to reach, let's say the very end of this conversation, so the very beginning of January 2022, that was just a temporary fix. You see the restrictions being lifted, the green pass being history, and so much that has been like an attempt, but it was just like a first aid. It was not the treatment, and this is where we get to the treatment. But that is still later on, so please excuse me, let's focus on this week. So we begin the week with Venus having changed signs, leaving the dual, conflictual, and very, very hard to make choices, opinions, and be emotionally rested Gemini, and entering in a part of the sky where she's quite comfortable. And if you have any kind of tarot knowledge, you know that usually Venus in the sign of Cancer, the Four of Cups, can be a card when we reach deep emotional truth. So it's contemplative, very artistic, very spiritual, very love and family oriented, very compassionate, communion, and all of that. And it's a blessing for females, mothers, artists, and anyone who embodies the female element, therapists, doctors, nurses, anyone basically. But the problem is that we won't get the best of the best of Venus in the sign of Cancer, because she will very soon begin to converse in attention a square with Jupiter in the sign of Aries. Fortunately, this square has a lot of beauty to it, Venus. It has a lot of worth to it, and it has a lot of spiritual moments when we live to the full, when the tears that we shed are sacred. So that's good in itself, but I would like to begin this with the analysis of this week with this celestial conversation first. So Venus squaring Jupiter, which will come online exact. Please allow me to check my notes on the 22nd of July. So that is when we might feel this at its more intense. Now, Jupiter in the sign of Aries is individual, very, very individualistic, truth, justice, faith, and new beginning, and fight for ourselves based. Now, sometimes the self has to sacrifice a lot of its freedom, a lot of its individual expression, a lot of basically everything that makes one live to the fullest. Aries, everything that gives our head and our head space the feeling that we are alive, that we are doing it, that we are acting, that we're not passive. The Aries, the adventurer, the warrior, the accomplisher, the initiative. So it gives us that feeling of being alive, the Aries way. But if we sacrifice that, and a lot of us have to sacrifice that for tens of years. Now this time, Jupiter says, I'm so very sorry, because Jupiter is the most powerful planet from the two. Jupiter is the big benefic, the bestower of blessings, and Venus is the lower one. So both of these planets want to bless us, and both of these planets want us to be benevolent as possible. But Jupiter demands at this time, because it's slowing down as well, it's getting stronger. So Jupiter demands us that we respect the self, our wishes, our fight, our goals, everything that has to be self-centered at this time, because it's not optional. Why? Because after this, Jupiter goes into Taurus, the foundations for the long term. If we sacrifice our foundations, then even if our purpose, our sacrifice is divinely gifted and sacred, here on earth, we compromise ourselves so much that we can't. So I'm so sorry to say this, we have to choose Jupiter. But Venus in the sign of Cancer, how can we possibly give up on pleasing our loved ones, protecting our loved ones, caring, nurturing our loved ones? But the square, it's not an opposition. We don't have to give it up. We have to find the right measure. Now, finding the right measure in an opposition is easier, because the two planets are head on. It's easy. It's hard in the sense that it's impactful, impacting even. But it's easy because we have the right calculations. But the square, this is where we need to make a compromise by experimenting, by being brave, by being bold, by embodying both of the two planets, Venus loving in Cancer, our souls, our artistic selves, our comforts, our source of love, our guilty pleasures, everything, because Venus will meet Black Moon Lilith, so the guilty pleasure ultimately. But sometimes Venus also needs to acknowledge from Jupiter that, look, Venus, your loved ones, your family, who you're sacrificing for, your emotional ideals, your partner, your desire of a partner, anything Venusian in Cancer, even the spiritual parts, well, these people, these energies are blessed by the divine, so they don't need your focus, your sacrifice, you to nurture 24/7. Sometimes Venus in the sign of Cancer has to be the recipient. And what does Jupiter offer Venus now? Freedom. To live what you never ever could live for yourself before. To be strong in ways you could not be strong for yourself. And you've got it in you. If you're an artist, to share that piece which you're ashamed of. It's sacred to you, but you're ashamed to share it. The time has come. If you're a spiritualist or therapist, anything that has to do with cancer, the time has come for you to be brave, a brave boy and girl, and try to heal the person who you before thought is unhealable. The bravery of the healer. That no. This is where you, as a therapist, as a spiritualist, as an artist, as a healer, as a mother, as a father, as a good Christian, as a good embodying of your faith, Jupiter, you have to do what you have to do. And sometimes you have to choose the self. Sometimes you have to embody your faith in a self-serving way as well. So you need to receive from others. You need to be brave. You need to step over all the Black Moon Lilith stuff. Your shame, your guilt. I'm not good enough. Am I sacred enough? Am I too sacred? Am I too extreme? Because this is when the impossible happens and we get an honesty with the self. A kind of honesty that is almost guilty, because we have to admit ourselves, our talent, everything where we excel at, and this is where we have to be honest. This is where that comment, that compliment, what your teacher said at university, what your best friend said, what your mom said, what your dad said, has to be believed. This is where you will have to admit, all those people did say those things to me, but this is where I don't just see the love in it now, Venus, but I also see the truth in it. Because it's so easy to think, of course she says it, my mom, because she loves me. My best friend, of course, because my best friend. That teacher at university, because I played by the rules. But this is where you also see their truth. Why they saw good in you, excellence, brilliance, talent, willpower, ambition, benevolence, that you can do it, that you're the right stuff. You see that how that is now true. And that in itself is uncomfortable. It's so uncomfortable when you realize that you have to step up your game. It's not easy. That moment, that's where it's the moment of glory, one might think. But maybe I wanted to say in a incorrect way, but how do I know it's incorrect? For some people, maybe this is the true moment of glory, but the realization of it, that you have to step up your game and you have no choice. The divine is forcing you, Jupiter. That's not comfortable. And this is the moment it happens. This is the moment when you tell your loved ones, your family, your children, those people who you support and nurture on an everyday basis, look guys, you're right, I'm gonna do it for myself. I'm gonna go out and do it. Do it means the dream, the ambition, your whatever it is that you're so very guided and ready to begin anew with. Jupiter in the sign of Aries, your big ambition, your big new beginning, your big moment of strength and courage. So this is where you share it with your family. This is either when you have to say, I have to choose myself right now. And for a lot of people, it's not very easy. The Black Moon Lilith, the need to be needed. And all of this takes place under Uranus getting closer and closer and closer. So it's astrologically, it's an online conjunction with the North Node. So all of this with surprise in all of our lives, because every single individual or country even, or business even, has a star chart. So they have this conjunction in their charts ticking, tick, 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 in one area of life. Where is it for you? because that, or where is it in your country? Because that area of life or that area in the country will detonate. And before it detonates, I'm expecting at the very end of July and all of August, where the detonation happens, because karmic reverberations, sometimes not even Uranus and Mars meeting, the two quickest power players in the zodiac, their meeting is usually instant. But sometimes even they take a good amount of time to find the right measure, especially when an individual is very spirited. It is when an individual is highly intelligent, when an individual is embodying their Uranian traits. Uranus will not want to wreck them, and I'm so sorry to use this silly word. It would want to upgrade them, so it will respect time. And sometimes what Saturn, in his upcoming fight with Uranus, will demand of Uranus, Saturn's punch to Uranus, in a playful way to explain this, is gonna be wait, time, patience, my time. Because Uranus is quantum, Uranus is now. When you think it, it already has to exist. Saturn says, oh, no, wait. You have to respect the earthly telluric methodology, may that be the Newtonian physics, or may that be our life structures or our social structures. So of course it's collapsing, but break by break, slowly, we can also tear it put apart ourselves. Uranus sometimes is the people. Break after break, deconstructing it and reconstructing it. But this doesn't have to be violent. Although, okay, who am I kidding? Mars meeting Uranus, revolution, protest, uprising, wrecking ball. But we are the people, Uranus is the wrecking ball. But again, it should not be violent. It can be where there is a house which is already not okay, or you need to expand it, or for any reason reconstruct it. You take it apart break after break, new design, reconstruct it. That can be very Saturnian. That can be very peaceful, very hard labor after all, but an organized hard labor. But it can also be where the wrecking ball flies. But it can also be when lightning strikes the old house and the owner said, well, it was divinely orchestrated because we wanted to demolish it and rebuild it anyway. So it can also be a moment of gratitude. It's so subjective how we live a Uranian moment. I and everyone in Romania lived a Uranian moment on the 23rd December, I hope. Oh, I'm so sorry if I'm getting the date, because that would be well shame. 1989. So December 1989, we lived a Uranian moment when our normality one day from another to another ended, just like that. I'm not saying that that's what is going to happen, but that is potentially what might happen somewhere out in the world. Why? Sri Lanka, of course, it already happened. Why? Because history tells us how the meeting of the planets plays out. We can only get the trend, we can only get the current, but we don't know how or where exactly it will play out. But history showed us that this is one of the expression of what Uranus can do. So let's move on from that, because as I said, we are just building up to this. This isn't next week yet, I hope. But conjunction between Uranus and North Node, it can well be possible. And all of what I said, this earthquake, on one hand can mean literal earthquake, the other hand it can mean financial and political earthquake, where the world economy changes suddenly, unexpectedly, and we're already seeing this play out in the world. Another energy is the Sun conjunct Ceres and Ceres opposing Pluto, food disruptions, and basically this is where crops will suffer, unfortunately. And personally, our own relationship to food, where it is that we have excess, we no longer wish to waste. And basically all of us have this tendency right now to sanctify food, to place the energy of love, creativity, care, the sun, our inner sun in food. And we crave living food more and more. Living food like sprouts and everything green and fruits. Everything that basically isn't overcooked. So it has still a bit of life in it. Another energy is Mercury standing across the sky opposing Pluto. This can be for some people, I'm so sorry to say this, yeah, I'm divorcing. Or, yeah, Mercury, the divorce papers are already in and working. Or, for other people, I'm already divorced. Time to live a life as a single person, not as a victim of divorce, you know? So this is either very impacting, very deep truth sinking in that, yeah, this is my situation and I have to live with it. For example, I saw this play out in the life of someone I know, a friend. This is where, for him, I imagine the way this is gonna be. Yeah, I might not be building my family home this year. Or, yeah, I might have everything I need except Pluto money. But this is not the end of the world. This is where I have the plan B. Here it comes plan B. No problem. I'm patient, I'll wait. So this Plutonian moment does not have to be doom and gloom. And at the same time, we have a Mercury and Pluto opposition every single year. Just that this is where Mercury in the sign of Cancer and also anoretic, this affects family as well. You know, so that's why it's not easy. Because for you it's no problem. Oh, I'll wait another year. Maybe I'll build a better house. I'll find a better land or whatever. But it's not just me, it's my family as well. They might not be as strong or as careless as I am, so, you know, and adapt this to your own personal situation. Because for some people, as I said, this can be a divorce. So I'm divorced, time to look for love. I might not be 1,000,000% ready and my soul is screaming, but I still need to leave the past behind. Because we're heading towards times where it's not emotionally at least advised to be totally alone. And even when your heart screams of this, this Uranus meets the North Node and Mars, and all of this opposes the South Node. Now, every astrologer kind of analyzes the meeting of the North Node, and very few analyze that, okay, but it opposes the South Node in Scorpio. So this changes you, this slaps you, this forces you to apply the South Node. What is the South Node in Scorpio? Every single life change, life slap that you adapted yourself to apply all of that now. That's in a way saddening, and I'm not gonna lie here, because life doesn't give you a chance to breathe. But the mastery of it, the scorpionic expression of it, the transformation, the shedding of the pain, and Scorpio also, let's not forget that you're getting what you want. You're getting what you asked for. This is a surgery, an energetic, ethereal, and for some people even physical surgery, removing the toxin. So that's why we, regardless of how the nodal meeting with Mars and Uranus plays out in our lives, regardless of how that shocks us, we need to be aware that the divine is helping us. This is for our greater good. This is like surgery, really. And the North Node can give us the medication, what we need, the support, the right hospital. And when I say hospital, symbolically, hospital can mean emotional hospital, a new friend, a new partner. Love can knock like this, unexpectedly. Love is Uranian in its nature because Venus was born from Uranus's testicles. So where I'm going with this is that love doesn't care. Love doesn't care if you're divorced yesterday. Love doesn't care. Love doesn't give you time. But it doesn't even care in the other way, where if you're desperate because you've waited 10 years for love, you can still wait a month more. It doesn't care because love has terms and conditions. It wants to be wild, it wants to be true, it wants to be 2020 style. 2022 style, sorry, 2022 style. And the reason I said 2020 is a Freudian projection, because this will evoke the life and world changes that we experienced in 2020. So that's why I said 2020 style. But this is where 2020 hit us when we were in the cocoon. 2022 hits us when we are out of the cocoon. So we have to fly. No or not. But sorry. Going back to the horoscope, we all of us are gonna have a Plutonian truth moment when, yeah, this is the situation, but I also have everything I need in my power to move on. So this is a soul compromise. And the compromise here is, let's not get upset about this. It's not the end of the world. It's a delay or a hard truth or something that I've been aware of anyway, really. So I need to make that hard decision to move on. To really, really move on. And you may say to yourself, but Zen, I wanted to move on all the year. But no, you didn't. Your mind wanted to. But we are not just our rational soul, the way I and other spiritualists like to call the mind. The rational soul, the irrational soul was not ready. And we lived in the illusion that we were ready, but we were not ready. And time to be honest about this. Anyway, moving on, Anoretic Mercury is exactly this what I said, because it's in the sign of Cancer. Hard to bear emotional truth. For example, that I lived in the illusion that I was ready, but I was not ready. For other people, surprise, surprise, I'm not ready even as we speak. I'm not even ready now, but I see the wisdom of making myself ready. So it has a lot of good parts to it. It has a lot of good decisions to it. It has a lot of emotional maturity. I'm gonna be a big boy and girl and do the hard part. I'm ready for the hard part even if I'm not ready. Because the not ready part is just a silly fear. But I'm really ready because let's look back, Cancer, the past. At all my life, I did good. I was mature, wise, brave all my life. So I'm gonna do this right now as well. Cancer is not just the weakness, the tears, the doom and gloom. Cancer is also all the things you did right in your life. And the emotional wisdom and maturity. And Cancer is different from all the other water signs because it's initiative, brave enough. Cancer is strong enough to protect others as well. Aries is strong enough to fight for others. Cancer is to protect, defend others. Libra is to vouch for others, to preach in place of others, to defend others legally, let's say. And Capricorn to lead others and to basically be the king, the leader of others, to represent others. So all the cardinal signs have something brave about them. So Mercury in Cancer is brave thinking, emotional intelligence, the bravery, emotional intelligence, and not being shy to admit it. Mercury in Cancer and all the strong males embrace their healing side, as in, but I can be a therapist if I want. I can be a healer if I want. I know how to nurture, how to be strong, how to inspire others. So this is where masculine people find a lot of nurturing tendencies, caring paternity in themselves, and something beautiful happens. They start new careers or hobbies and stuff like that. So I know I'm gonna be cut off now, and I'll get back in the second part with the rest of the analysis in the following video. Thank you so much for listening.